As we've seen, the solo model shows us that the biggest source of economic growth will be new ideas. Innovation, which reforms old methods and creates new products that make people better off, is how we improve our standard of living. So, how do we promote these ideas? Ideas seemingly come to us randomly when we suddenly think of a different way to do something. But acting on those ideas is another story. When we look at where the new innovations and major inventions come from, the distribution is not so random. They tend to come from countries with liberalized economies and functional governments. In short, ideas need good institutions in order to succeed. Institutions which reward innovation. Ideas are not like regular goods and services. If I eat an apple, that apple is no longer available for you to eat. But if I have an idea, that idea can spread from one person to another without the initiator losing anything. Ideas are what we call non-rival, meaning that when one person consumes something, it doesn't stop another person from consuming something. Ideas can also be non-exclusive, meaning that we aren't able to prevent someone from using our idea. That makes it difficult to profit from ideas. If I come up with a new and cheaper way to make batteries, which last much longer, but everyone else is just able to copy my idea, I won't be able to make much money from it. And if coming up with that new and cheaper way required a lot of expensive research and development and testing, I might not be willing to undertake those expenses to come across such a discovery. The founders saw this as a problem too, and they wrote the solution right into the Constitution. Patents grant the innovator a monopoly on their idea for a fixed period of time, usually about 20 years. The inventor is able to profit by being the exclusive producer of their new product. Patents create huge incentives for innovation, which is good, but they can also slow innovation down. Sometimes a new idea can be made better by someone else, but patents essentially put a wall around that idea and prevent it from spreading to others who might tinker with it. Patents can also be abused. Should Amazon be able to patent their one-click buying option? Is that really a brilliant innovation we wouldn't otherwise get? So patents are an imperfect solution to the problem of generating ideas, but some of their flaws can be remedied by other solutions. Subsidies are a major way in which we can promote new innovation. A subsidy is a payment from the government, in this case for research and development. Most major research universities are in part subsidized by state governments. Gatorade was invented at the University of Florida. Google started at Stanford. Web browsers and plasma screens were created at the University of Illinois. The allergy medication Allegra was developed at Georgetown University. A lot of the money for that research comes from government organizations like the National Science Foundation. Other government organizations like NASA and DARPA, where the internet was invented, do research directly. The federal government also gives subsidies, usually in the form of tax breaks, to companies engaged in a lot of research and development, like Apple, Google, Tesla, Boeing, and Pfizer. This is one thing to keep in mind when you read headlines about big corporations, quote, not paying any taxes. Sometimes that is by design, and we all benefit from the innovations spurred on by those tax breaks. Many of these innovations still end up being patented, though, which means they suffer from many of the same issues there. Nevertheless, subsidies drive more than 30% of research and development, and that is a big boon to economic growth. Another incentive, which is as old as patents are, is prizes. Often, organizations will offer major prizes to anyone who can innovate a solution to some problem. The X Prize Foundation offers millions of dollars to those who can solve some of humanity's biggest challenges, including a $100 million prize to anyone who can figure out how to tackle climate change through carbon removal. The upside of prizes is that it incentivizes people to tackle problems where there isn't a clear profit motive, or where we want to be able to build on the ideas going forward. The downside is that innovations driven by prizes do not have to face a commercial test. A patent is only valuable if the innovation is something that benefits people so much they're willing to pay for it. Prizes, on the other hand, can be given for anything, whether there's a clear use for it or not. For example, since the year 2000, there's been a $1 million prize for anyone who can solve one of 7 math problems. To date, only one of the problems has been solved, and the solver turned down the prize. Solving these problems will certainly advance mathematics, but whether they can be used to benefit our material well-being remains to be seen. But the underrated element in promoting innovation is simply people. More people. Albert Einstein was a 1 in a billion genius, and his development of the theory of relativity didn't have clear commercial applications either. But the GPS on our phones wouldn't work right if we didn't have that breakthrough. The more people we have, the more likely we will get the 1 in a billion genius and their discoveries. People are our greatest resource, and the more we have, and most especially the more we can lift out of poverty into situations where they are able to innovate, the faster our civilization will be able to advance.